Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. And some fantastic, fabulous guests the last couple of weeks, from a CEO of a nonprofit organization to bodyguard of the stars and played Suge Knight and Notorious, to now, again, my good friend, and it's awesome to talk about Super Bowl champion from Dinkins Ethic Training and Dynamite Sports, Pitt star Darnell Dinkins. Darnell, how are you? And I guess today we're talking like we talk on the radio every week, and I'm in a TV studio. So how are you, Darnell?
I'm doing great, Neil. Sorry I couldn't get into the studio this morning. I promise you I'll be there next time. But thank you for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure being able to sit down and talk with you. More importantly, you never know which story is going to encourage some young listener, some listener to just be able to look past their situations and keep striving forward.
Exactly. And you think about it, and I think about this so much, about opportunities and when they come in different ways. And we talked about, we were really going into the Pitt football season 1997. I was there at the Liberty Bowl with my girlfriend, it's now my wife, and we were with my family in Memphis, Tennessee. And that was a disappointing game, to say the least, with it. But it was the year that Pitt finally came back. The Panthers were back, and that's what led to some great years under Walt Harris and Dave Wannstedt. But that year was very special because you guys did not know what winning was about and things like that. And you playing linebacker and having such a very good senior year, where did you see things next? You said, okay, I'm graduating. My life journey was not what I expected. I thought I was going to be this big time. I was going to be at the Heisman Trophy reception as a quarterback, or I was going to be looking at NFL combines as a quarterback. Where were you sitting after that season, especially when, Pitt's not on the radar yet, for sure?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was kind of a broad question, because when we went to Liberty Ball, we're still young. I was playing safety at that year. We actually won a good game against Miami, a team we hadn't beaten in a lot of years, on a Thursday night game.
I remember.
It was actually absolutely electrifying. The fans rushed the field, and we really just put together a lot of solid games that year. And it was good to to have the feeling of winning and people supporting you again, as opposed to going to the games losing. As I go through, and I'm going through some things at Pitt, end up playing linebacker, play a lot more at safety, doing a lot of solid things. Teams like me, and at that point, I kind of got hurt. A young guy, Ramon Walker, comes in and plays very well his freshman year. He ended up getting drafted by the Texans. But at the end of the day, as I go through my last game at the University of Pittsburgh, in Pitt's last home game at Pitt Stadium against Notre Dame, in the game which we won, the question did arise: what am I going to do now?
Exactly.
I know a lot of teams like me, but they don't know what position I'll play. I'm a big athlete, but no real, so-called game skill, because I've played so many different positions. But they like my size. They like the way I move. So as I sat around for a little bit, had a few workouts with some teams. Nobody ended up signing me. So I went through, and I got to a point where I was just just playing and working. I was doing working as a parole and probation officer, and enjoyed it, helping families, doing a lot of family counseling. And then I got an opportunity to play some semi-pro ball. So at this time, as I'm out of playing for a year, I'm watching guys who I played against, who I knew I was better than, and it was hard watching games. I don't think I watched one NFL game that next season. So I started playing semi-pro, and I'm playing quarterback. And I'm up there just doing some really amazing things, I guess I would say, because after every game we would play guys from other team will come up and say, "Why are you in this league? I mean, you don't belong here." And as they kept saying, I just started saying, I need to put together some film and send it out to teams and see what happens. So I remember in particular, Neil, there was one game where I was playing, and we was playing at actually Uniontown High School's football field.
Okay.
I had 6 touchdown passes, ran another one in, had like 670-something yards passing that game. And it was just one of those games where you just kind of, everything just worked that day. Everything worked, every pass was completed, and it was a very solid day. So after that, a couple arena teams seen that video that I put together, and wanted me to work out.
So this is interesting because, again, got to back you up. You're definitely a soundbiter, as I've talked about a lot of other people. When we have you for a series, a story, the Darnell Dinkins story, I'm going to back you up a lot because this is like biography with Neil Haley in certain aspects, because he really loves to dig deep and understand a person that he's been talking to for the last 3 to 4 months, but really understand who they are. So you graduate from college. What was your major in college? I forgot that too. What was that?
Criminology with a minor in business.
So with the criminology major, that's where you had to get a job, and you probably had aspirations to the NFL your whole life, and that is in a lot of ways a disappointment, and a lot of people would give up. And we've seen these college athletes that they finish up their college career, their grades aren't the best, and we're not saying, Darnell, yours weren't, and that they give up. They said, I never got my dream to the NFL. I'm just going to go back to what I was before meaning what my cousins are doing, or my uncles are doing, or my brothers are doing. I'm going to go back to that lifestyle. In a lot of ways, they disappear. But you decided to get a job. And I think one thing we didn't focus on is your family life, Darnell. What made you understand the value of work? Because a lot of people will give up at this point. You had a decent college career. Why are you going to go work for somebody else, have to get up early, do all these different things when you were treated like a superstar your whole life?
Well, for me, failure wasn't an option. And when I look at it, failure wasn't an option for the simple fact that I had a daughter on the way. I got married right out of college, and it just was, I had to provide for my wife or my daughter at the time. And so I made sure I did all the things that I had to do in that aspect. I wasn't going to sit around and cry the blues like I've seen a lot of guys do. Right. I was going to just keep trying to find a way. So at the end of the day, I say life is an everyday battle against you and yourself. You determine your successes and your failures based upon if you want to have a pity party, or you want to say, regardless of what I do, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other one and keep moving forward. And so that's kind of, what ended up happening. I, like I said, got an opportunity to play semi-pro, and I took it upon myself to say, instead of just playing these games, I want to log some footage. And so that way, if an opportunity presents itself, I don't want to not be prepared. I talk to people all the time about being proactive so you won't have to react. In this case, I was very proactive, so I was ready to move when that opportunity presented itself. And so as I go through and I'm playing semi-pro, I'm working, I'm taking care of my daughter, I go out to an arena workout with the New York Dragons at the time. And their workout is right in front of Giant Stadium in their bubble. Now, going up there, the odds of being seen by a scout when you go to a workout is slim to none. And there's probably around 300-something guys in this bubble working out for spots on this New York Dragons team. So I'm going up there and I'm throwing really good, just looked the part. And there's a guy walking around who, as he walks around, he falls right in front of me. I help him up, and I decided not to laugh, as I was almost about to laugh. And he said, my name is Larry Ennis. I was just coming over to tell you that you look so good as a young athlete. You're big, you're strong. Do you have game footage? Now, at that point, I could have had no footage. I could have had nothing prepared. But because I was being proactive, I had it. He was a Giant. He was a scout for the New York Giants. He's now passed away, but that was my the first blessing that God had bestowed upon me. As far as, and that guy could have stopped anybody in there and left. He could have not walked around, but he did. And he seen me, said, okay, I left, sent him some footage. He said the coaches really like the stuff they see on film. We want to send you up for a workout. So they flew me up, the New York Giants, and worked me out. Coach Payton was a quarterback coach at the time, so it was me, Coach Payton, and Rashard Casey, the quarterback for Penn State.
Oh, wow.
So at that time, we threw every pass, and now, mind you, the dynamic with me was at this time, my younger brother, Dave Dinkins, who was not the quarterback that I was in high school, was down at Moorhead State breaking all the Phil Sims quarterback records. Okay. So it's even more of a dynamic where I should just sit there and say that I picked the wrong school because I could be doing, the same type of things at quarterback, but I'm never getting my shot. so when this opportunity presented itself again with playing semi-pro, now working out with the Giants,
Right.
all thing I can say is, can I really make it? Because I don't have any footage from college.
No, you don't.
So
Yeah.
as I'm throwing against Rashard Casey, I'm just, throwing circles around the guy. I mean, he had nowhere near the arm strength, the accuracy, and
Right.
he was starting at Penn State. So I was just like, just going in and just doing the things that I had to do, and left for the workout. And so I'm going up to Buffalo a week later after the workout. And as I get to about 5 minutes outside of Buffalo, my truck hits a patch of black ice. I hit an embankment on the side of the road, and my truck flipped over about six to seven times. Yeah, so at this time, I'm always watching action movies. So in my mind, I thought the truck was sliding on the side, so I'm like, I could still make this workout with Buffalo. So I'm not crazy. But at the end of the day, I ended up running out the front window, and I just started running because I thought the truck was going to blow up. Well, it didn't. But, I walked away with just a scar on my face. And the crazy thing about the accident is that 10 minutes after the accident, the New York Giants called and said they wanted to sign me to a contract and send me to NFL Europe. So I could have broke anything. I could have hurt something that would have been off or not. But once again, God obviously was covering me through that time. And that's just the first segment of this, tremendous journey.
Well, so in a lot of ways, your stories online or different things talk about the arena league. So you're playing semi-pro football. You're working with disadvantaged youth during the day. You're taking care of your daughter, and basically, boom, this opportunity comes to try out for the arena league, and someone spots you from the Giants, which again, this is an amazing story. This is somebody who's a Super Bowl champion. It was a 9-year pro, yet at this point, no one wants to touch you. You were a blue chipper, one of the guys they expect is one of the best quarterbacks in Western Pennsylvania. And you're sitting here after your career at Pitt, and we're not going to talk about what happened, but where we are today, and you're thinking, what am I going to do next? What's going to happen? And then everything came into place. And I love one point you made, and I hope you write that book. And Darnell, I know you're in the process of writing that book, but I hope I can mentor you in this process, because I know your story is a very important story to get out there. I see huge things for you in your next career after football and what you're doing today. And this story is just a very genuine story, as I've interviewed tons of professional athletes. So when we get back, I want to continue the story, and I'm so happy to have this biography. I should call this the Darnell Dinkins biography as we go through this process. You're watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show. Again, my website, totaltutor.net for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and Google+, Neil Haley, all the different places to find me. And you can find Darnell Dinkins at Darnell_Dinkins on Twitter, and DinkinsEthicTraining.com and DynamiteSports.com. But this is my first biography story. I've never gotten the opportunity to go through a story, and I think I'll have to bounce back to other parts of the life, but we're talking his sports biography right now. But what the amazing thing is, as more and more I see my whole purpose of education, of educating people. I want people to know the Darnell Dinkins story. And when you have a daughter, you're married very young, you go ahead and you're playing semi-pro football. My buddy who played at Robert Morris played semi-pro football. He asked me after my wrestling career, and I was still very big, I mean, like still in great shape, you want to go play semi-pro? And I never did, and who knows what would have happened if I did that. Someone cautioned me in that fact, but that's interesting. But you got that opportunity based on the Arena League seeing you. So how did they find out you when you're playing it? Were you just did the scouts come to semi-pro games sometimes and look for diamonds in the rough?
No, they wouldn't really. You know, like I said, that's why it was, you know, vital that, you know, you just collect the film and, you know, just keep pressing. The biggest thing about this, Neil, at some point in everybody's life, they decide to either keep pressing forward or stop it. And at this time, I just felt like, you know, in my heart, I felt like there was something more that I was supposed to do. And I had an opportunity to say to myself, I'm going to sit in the corner and feel sorry for myself, or I'm going to keep moving forward because I know that God has something in store for me. And that's just the decision I made, to keep pressing forward, and things just lined up. And when you work hard, when that opportunity presents itself, you will be ready.
You're so right. Opportunities presented themselves, Darnell. And they definitely presented themselves. And so you're in this process in so many ways. So was there a specific person that saw you, or did you send your tapes to the arena?
Well, there was a guy with the arena thing. You know, there was just a couple guys here and there, nobody in particular by name, that just seen it, said they wanted to have me up for a workout. But then after that, you know, Larry Ennis with the Giants.
That story's awesome. Player. But so basically it was you kind of pushing it, but that Larry Ennis story is amazing. Amazing.
Larry Ennis was right there. I mean, if he hadn't come walking through there, he could have went to the bathroom. He could have ate lunch. He could have not came around to that arena workout, and maybe I never get noticed. But that's the luxury, and that's God. That's God. That's God's circumstance that he found. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Because he knew you were going to make this huge difference now. He sees today, not just then when you're 23 years old or whatever. So when you had that workout, so you just had a workout with the arena. So it's not as easy as you think to get picked up in the Arena League either. You were a major Division I star. How?
No, but I had a couple arena teams offer me full scholarships. They offered me full contracts, and I'd be making more than a lot of the other guys. But I just didn't feel arena was where I was supposed to go. Now my brother ended up playing a lot of arena for the Area Freeze and a couple other teams around, but I never had to go the arena route. I played one year of semi-pro ball, and then things just kind of worked themselves out, for me, obviously, by getting that footage and showing the things that I can do. And what it did, it inspired a lot of guys who were playing arena numbers. I mean, it inspired a lot of guys who were doing semi-pro ball, but, like I would tell the guys, this is not something that always happens. Because you play semi-pro, you get film, doesn't mean that you're going to instantly go to the pros. It was just a unique, situation and circumstances that all happened to line up. And God just opened the door, from the things that I was doing from semi-pro and being able to make the New York Giants football team.
So it's interesting. So, and when you said when Larry Ennis saw you and basically you were trying out, so when they offered you contracts, the Arena League, you already knew there was NFL interest, right?
I knew there was some buzz. I didn't know how much, and more importantly, I was more or less thinking that something positive was going to happen from this. So I had nothing in concrete, but I had, a couple contracts sitting in front of me, making a couple $1,000s a week. And I just decided to hold off on that because doing that would have meant one team was in Connecticut, one team was in Virginia, one team was in Maryland. So I knew there would be some traveling and things, and some adjustments that would have to be made with that. So if I moved, I wanted to make sure it was the right move, not only for myself, but for my family at the time.
Okay, so basically I'm kind of understanding the story more and more from that. So once Larry Ennis sees you, then you get flied out, then you almost die in a truck crash. You didn't make it to the Buffalo workout. You get a call from the Giants. You try out for the Giants, and then you get sent to NFL Europe because
Yes.
Really, if there was not NFL Europe, which I don't think is as big now as it was then, that could have been the end of your career. Because again, there wasn't lots of minor leagues for the NFL still. And
what the NFL Europe provided for players back then, more not so much the being able to get on film and see the plays and see how a guy played through those 10-game season. What it did more importantly, it allows you a roster spot to start camp, because the guys who were allocated to NFL Europe did not take up a roster spot during training camp. So you can actually have more guys in camp, and now they're not against those numbers, and it doesn't really affect you. So you can actually keep a kid longer. You can see what he's doing, and now you can bring in, a couple more talented kids. So during that time, when I went to NFL Europe, it was about trying to show what I can do.
Right.
Now I had the luxury of playing with T. Martin, the former Pittsburgh quarterback, Romero Miller, who was a quarterback at Ole Miss, a lot of quality guys who were in the NFL, and a lot of guys who get allocated were free agents and/or late draft picks who just were not panning out or not progressing. And it was a way to get them extra reps, extra playing time. So a lot of guys seeing NFL Europe is like going from the major leagues and going down to like one of the minor leagues. For me, this was nothing but opportunity. Opportunity. Everything that was new to me. Everything to them was kind of like, oh, well, back at Pittsburgh or back here, we got this and this and this. So my mentality was totally different being over there. And that's why I got honorable mention for special teams. I blocked a couple punts. Did some really, good things. I was a third-team quarterback. Ended up getting most of the reps at tight end and receiver. The guys was like, who is this guy? Nobody, really heard about me from a quarterback standpoint, but, the tight ends were like, it's some guy here and there. But the offensive coordinator ended up stopping one of the meetings and said, I don't know if you guys realize, but our quarterback, offensive coordinator, Mike Jones, he was really big on yards after the catch.
Right.
So he said, you guys sit here and talk about Darnell being the first one out on the practice field, the last one to leave. Right. But when you look at yak yards, he has more than anybody in there. Once he catches the ball, he gets north and south. And so I was just out there just playing and trying to really, make a name for myself, because I didn't see failure as an option. Failure was not an option. And if every roster there was, I was the last guy on the list, because there was no notoriety with it. There was no, long history of things that I had done. I was just a name and a body. So it was up to me to make sure I was remembered. So God just continued to put me in great positions. And, we ended up making a championship game over NFL Europe. I played with the Ryan Fire over there. I was in Dusseldorf, Germany. So I learned a little bit of German. Obligates dias, have a good day. But at the end of the day, it was an adventure like this whole thing, and I was still learning the NFL protocol. I made sure I communicated with all the coaches, and the coaching staff loved me. They loved the way my work ethic was, inspiring other guys. And at this point, I seen this as another opportunity, because I felt like so much had been stolen at the University of Pittsburgh. So I was going to factor in everything I wish I could have done differently.
Yes.
I was going to do it now.
And that's interesting. So in that process of being in NFL Europe, and I think what's happened now, the CFL's again back to the minor leagues, is the NFL Europe slowly but surely not being as known. I don't even know if it's still around yet or not. Is there still an NFL Europe?
No, there's not.
There's not. So that's too bad, because that gave you that opportunity. So you're playing over there. They thought it's going to be as big as basketball is in Europe, right? Where there's these college basketball players that could go make a ton of money, or low-end NBA players that really didn't star in the NBA go and make a ton of money and be treated like royalty. You guys weren't treated like royalty over in NFL Europe, were you?
We were treated good. I mean, understand, the NFL Europe was solely made to be a farm league. There was everything that was circumvented through the NFL. Okay. So it was solely what it was doing and maintaining this purpose. It was getting recognition and everything, but whether the powers that be, I guess a lot of their travel expenditures and all those things started factoring into play. But it did give guys the opportunity to extend their playing time, extend some of their careers. And from my team with the Round Fire, I think only out of the 50 guys, or maybe the 40 guys that was on the team, I think only 3 of us actually made our teams that year. So, that goes to show, how crazy it is, going over there. And there's no guarantees for anything, but I can guarantee you that nobody thought that out of all the guys that was on our team, that Darnell Dinkins would be one of the guys to make the team.
Make the NFL, meaning a lot of them would go get cut when they go. So the process, you play at the Rhine Fire for 1 year, you get used to this whole Europe thing. Then what happens next?
So what happens next? After we go over there, we play in the championship game, we lose. At this time, my son is. I have a son on the way who, if we had not made the championship, I would have been there for his birth. I miss my son Khalil's birth. And he's just a dynamic young guy, doing very well. He's 12 years old now. His team in basketball plays eighth in the country. He's a dynamic football player and, just loves being around his dad. He was 8 pounds, 7 ounces. I carried over into wanting to be number 87 when I was in the NFL. And, it just really resonated. So as we lost the championship game, got a chance to come home, see him for a couple of weeks. And then the one thing about NFL Europe is during the spring, so you pretty much get a couple of weeks off, and then you're right back into NFL training camp. Now, here I am again going to Giants training camp. There's probably about 90-some guys on the roster, and I'm like 105. Like, that's how, insignificant I was as far as, I was in the quarter. I was as a quarterback at that time. So it was Kerry Collins, Jesse Palmer, Jason Garrett, and then me. So we had a great quarterback room. So I learned so much from the guys that I was around. But more importantly, I said I need to make sure I do something that's going to allow them to know who Darnell Dinkins is. So I would go into the meeting room, and one of the things that Coach Fossil and Coach Payton would talk about a lot is that I would beat them to the meeting room in the morning. And I would be in there early. I'll watch everything. Coach Payton would put every play that was on the script in the film from the previous year. So you can see how the plays panned out. You can see what decisions Kerry made. And I would just go through it, just time after time after time. So when I got out there and when I got an opportunity, I would make the most of that opportunity. So, we'll go through about 2 days of, training camp, and I don't have that one rep, do a lot of the individual drills and indie drills. So Coach Payton finally put me in. And I'll never forget, it was a play-action pass, X-Pylon, Z-Spear, where, the receiver goes in and goes back out to the corner of the end zone. We're on like the minus 35-yard line, so we're about 65 yards away from the end zone.
Hey, guess what I have to do? I'm going to make it this an interesting biography. We have to stop right there. So, okay, Darnell, we can find information for our next month segment. Go to DinkinsEthicsTraining.com. Darnell_Dinkins on Twitter. And Darnell, great talking to you, man. And it was a lot of fun. And I'm going to have to find where we left off in that spot for December, getting close to Christmas. We'll be talking more. But this story, I just keep thinking of things. We're definitely going to go back. But what a hard worker this guy is. And you got to check him out at Darnell_Dinkins or DinkinsEthicsTraining.com. So good talking to you, Darnell. Take care.
Thank you, Neil, for having me on, man. You have a good one.
You too. All right, that was Darnell Dinkins. You go to my website, totaltutor.net. Another great week on the Neil Haley Show. We'll see you next week with some more great fun. Take care, everyone. And I can't wait to who my guest is next week. And I never know, and all these interesting things. So enjoy the holidays. We'll talk soon. Good day.